All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. This is episode 58. Of course, I'm Combo Breaker 99. All right, y'all. Back with another episode. Back once again to talk this boxing and WMMA conversation over here. But before we get started, just make sure y'all subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast hashtag CB99 Talks on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play. And as long as y'all subscribe, I'm gonna keep doing these episodes. And yeah, thanks to my new subscribers and new followers on my YouTube channel as well. It's been growing. The more and more y'all just keep interacting, I'll keep doing these live streams, and keep coming through and talking combat sports. Like I said, I'm trying to find my balance again and get back into boxing because boxing for a while it's been on a drought, man. But today we got to talk boxing. A lot of interesting stuff has been going on. Some good fights coming up this summer. So yeah, I got a few topics to discuss, as well in the boxing world, as well as in the WMMA world. So first up, I want to speak on Devin Haney, and talk about his performance this past Saturday, and against Jorge Linares. And I just want to talk about not just the performance, but a lot of the hate and the criticism that he's been getting. He's been getting a lot of hate and criticism. Not just from the usual keyboard warriors, but he's been getting a lot of criticism from fellow fighters. So I want to talk about that as well, and also just give him some credit. Put some shine on him as far as his career and what he's just accomplished as a young kid in this game. Still a young champion, still growing, and I just want to speak on that as well. And also in the boxing world, big news. I like when fights like this are announced. Not a bunch of rumors about, oh, I think this fight's going to happen, or so and so said this is going to happen. This fight just popped out of nowhere. Errol Spence Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. There's been so many things going on with Manny Pacquiao taking on either Ryan Garcia, Terrence Crawford, but all of a sudden, boom, Errol Spence got the fight. It's going down August 21st, so we got to talk about that. And I want to speak on one more time. We're gonna speak on it one more time, Marina Rodriguez for the show. We talked about it on some live streams, but I just want to talk about it as far as like in general, with the theme of this podcast, this episode. Theme of this episode is basically, for the fighters, advice to the fighters and anybody that's feeling like pressure from other people, just to remember to look out for the one that's really taking care of you. And that's you. You got to look out for number one. That's what it's all about to me. Don't feel the pressures of other people. You got to be able to say, look, let me weigh my options. What's best for me? I can't just listen to other people, whatever they're saying about me. I got to make sure I'm doing it for me. So, I want to speak on that as well. And a couple other things, we'll talk about fight night tomorrow. Tomorrow is UFC fight night. Starts pretty early. And there's a couple of WMMA fights on the prelims that we got to discuss real quick. I already dropped my prediction for one of them, Manon Firo versus Tabitha Ricci. And like I said, it just seems like a crazy matchup when you look at it on paper. But we'll see what happens. So we'll speak on that one more time. Um, but yeah, going back up, like I said, this past Saturday, Devin Haney, he went in there against a skilled veteran, Jorge Linares, defended his title for the first time, right? I think it was or second time. I think it's the second time he defended his title, and he was able to come away with a unanimous decision over over Jorge Linares. Devin Haney, in my opinion, he looked very impressive. And the one thing I noticed about him that a lot of people weren't giving him credit for was the the different approach he took. The resilience he showed in this fight. And just the next level. And by next level, I mean he was really taking this fight in his hands as far as ring generalship, just controlling the pace of the fight. He wasn't letting the older man dictate the pace. He wasn't over respecting him. Some young champions, they come in and they feel the need to respect the veteran and kind of stay on the outside and just box. But Devin Haney, he met this guy mid range in the pocket, and he was willing to bang with him. He was willing to bang with him. Devin Haney, he showed those levels in this fight, and I really have to say I appreciate the way he was able to stay in the pocket and at the same time tie up Jorge Linares and just take it to him. He's really just taking it to him. A la Andre Ward in some ways. How Andre Ward is able to nullify a puncher just by really pressuring and just beating these guys up. Not with like great power, but he just like landing and constantly just working and grinding these guys down. And that was one of the things I was just appreciating throughout these rounds. From round one up to round nine, he was just having his way with it. I won't say it was like dominant, but Devin Haney was just working. He just seemed very comfortable in the pocket and even taking some of Jorge Linares' biggest power punches. And one of the things, like I said, I I really found impressive about Devin Haney was the way he was taking away some of Jorge Linares' weapons. Jorge Linares was being smart in the beginning by using his left hook to try to counter Devin Haney as he would shoot in with his 1-2 or his jab, which is smart. If he can't jab with the jabber, you got to come around with the timing and the hook. And that's what Jorge Linares was doing. But he was still landing his jab as well. Jorge Linares was snapping his jab out, with offset timing a few times and landed on Devin Haney. But it was left hook that I liked that he was landing. Devin Haney, though, IQ, man, they were really fighting IQ for IQ. People just didn't see that. Like Devin Haney, when he started seeing that left hook coming, he started moving to his left. When he started moving to his left, Jorge Linares' left hook wasn't effective, and he stopped throwing it. So then he started throwing the right hand, and that's where Devin Haney was having more success with his jabs, his body punching, and just really putting the pressure on Jorge Linares, backing him up, pushing him, holding him, clinching him. And I was like, a lot of people were talking about the holding. I'm like, come on, man, y'all know this is a part of boxing. This is a weapon. It's clinch. It's a clinch game. That's why I'm like, sometimes boxers, they boxers and boxing fans that criticize other guys who hold, it gets on my nerves. I mean, it's a part of the game. It's a clinch game. You gotta have that because that's how you smother guys and slow them down. I mean, we see it in mixed martial arts now. That's one of the things I learned how to appreciate even watching in mixed martial arts. Guys will have to clinch to slow the fight down, or just to try to take away weapons, and buy time. So that was something I was like, okay, I like what he's doing. This is a young kid who's actually trying to, out skill and out veteran in a way, out veteran the veteran, and there was even guys like Virgil Ortiz talking about, oh, he should have had a point taken. I'm like, come on, man. Like, there's no need to take a point unless it really gets excessive and it's like dirty hold. Like, if you're able to break from a hold, and it's not like the guy's like elbowing you or hitting you low or like really tying your arm up to like break your arm, then that's fine. Like, you need to learn how to get out of these holes. That's basically what it comes down to. If he clinches you, you need to find some way to bump him with his shoulder or get him off. Don't look for the referee to give you help for that. That's minor. So to me, that's just a part of the game. If you get, if a guy's holding the clinching, either clinch back or you hit him behind the, hit him in the kidneys or whatever you got to do just to get him off for the moment. So Devin Haney, he was using those little veteran tricks in there, smothering him, like I said, putting his weight on him. And he got a little bit, cocky in that, I say, in that 10th round. He was winning the 10th round, but towards the end of it, he got caught with that two-piece from Jorge Linares, and he got put on wobbly legs. Then going into 11 and 12, Devin Haney did wake up and he started boxing. He started boxing more. He was doing smart again to hold and avoid those big shots. Jorge Linares hurt him again, in the 11th round. But I was really appreciating the way Devin Haney said, look, yo, this is a part of the game. If I want to fight in the inside, I am going to take a big shot. If I take a big shot, what do? You got to hold. Don't go in there, do something stupid and start going toe to toe. Don't go in there and start trading blow for blow. Just hang on and, bide your time. So overall, I appreciated the performance in this next level from Devin Haney. This is a part of the game. Not everybody's going to be a power puncher. Not everybody's going to come in here knocking guys out. And I like when I like when a box can show their physical strength and not just always the power. If you have physical strength and you have a strong, durable chin, you have strong legs, and you can hang in there for 12 rounds and just beat guys up, I think that's impressive. Sometimes that's more impressive than a knockout because you're really breaking a guy's will when you take them into deep waters and they still can't do anything. I had Chris Bird on a little while back, and he talked about the same thing. Me and him talked about that, where you might want to get knocked out by a guy like Mike Tyson, instead of getting taken 12 with a guy like Chris Bird, because that shows you that this guy ain't got no power, but he can really take you to school and just confuse you and frustrate you and really expose you for the, non-skilled, non-technical guy that you are. So all in all, it was impressive by Devin Haney, another level for, the young 22-year-old, right? And going off to going on to this next part about, the hate and criticism, I was like, wow, man, everybody was just coming up with all type of excuses. Even Jorge Linares, like, this guy's being, flip floppy. He's just 1 minute he's saying Devin Haney has decent power. He's telling him that to his face. Then the next minute, whenever boxing media is asking him the question about his power, he's saying, oh, he ain't got no power, or Lomachenko had more power, whatever. I'm just like, well, which is it? which is it? Just be honest. Do you not just want to take the credit that you got beat? I mean, the kid must have some type of power. I mean, he was doing some damage. He put some knots on your head, so he had some type of pop behind him shots, and you couldn't walk through him. You know what I mean? Like if a guy has no power, you walk through the guy. You just walk through his shots. So just say you respect the pop on his shots. I mean, he must have had something. I mean, even like when I talk about guys like Joe Calzaghe who can't hit hard, but guys still can't stop him. I'm guessing he has something. You guys give him credit. You know what I mean? So give Devin Haney his credit, especially at 22. He's taking you to school this early in the game. He's stepped his boxing IQ up this early in the game. So you got to give him his credit. And another thing too, just looking at what Sean Porter had to say recently, I had to disagree with him as well. Just feeling like Jorge Linares took a dive. I was like, took a dive. I'm like, the guy was just outclassed and outskilled. And I mean, you got to say, look, the guy's older, so he's not going to be able to keep up with the young, fresh Devin Haney at some point, especially if Devin has the skill. So I hate when people say like some crazy off the wall things, just start talking out of the side of their neck. Even like I said, Sean Porter, you're a boxer. You should know what a dive looks like at this point. Like Jorge Linares was not taking a dive. He was in the fight the whole time, and he tried to score a knockout up to that 10th round. He just couldn't do it because Devin Haney was that good. So just give Devin Haney his credit. It's like they're trying to take away from him. And by now saying that Jorge Linares was looking suspicious, it looks suspicious. I was just like, whatever, man. I mean, you just have to give the guy his praise. I mean, if you want to talk suspicious, I mean, we've talked about other fights, like Canelo versus Kovalev. I was like, okay, I kind of see where some people were coming from with that fight. Come on, Kovalev is a big guy and a monster guy. Like, why is he not coming with that same power he has in the past? You know what I mean? So if you're gonna call this fight suspicious, then you got to look at these other fights. But like I said, for me on my side, there was nothing but good skill, and I just have to appreciate what Devin Haney was doing in there. Because like I said, me just coming up watching boxing for years and years now, you've seen like some of these young, hungry prospects on the come up, how they kind of work with they kind of work towards just knocking guys out all the time and making that type of statement. Devin Haney, in my opinion, he's always kind of done the opposite. He's always kind of done the opposite, and seems like he's been working more so on his technique and his skill set at an early age, which is good because he's still not fully grown into his man strength yet. And I think the more and more he gets, of course, the more and more he puts weight on, he gets older, the knockout will come, the power will come, because he's not a small guy. He is a strong kid. So the power will come with time, so what he's working on now is kind of like the reverse of what some of these other young guys doing. He's learning how to box now and just kind of take guys into deep water, kind of like Andre Ward was doing, throughout the super middleweight days. He was always in there just nullifying guys. He's like a virus. He'll shut you down and you're just like almost handicapped, and there's nothing you can do. Andre Ward's right there in your face and you can't do anything. It's like, almost like the same thing. Devin Haney's right there in your face, but you can't do anything. Of course, every now and then you'll get caught with a big shot, but you got to show that heart and that chin. And that's another thing. Like Devin Haney showed a chin. Why is it this time he got exposed? You know what I mean? Like I was supposed to give guys credit when they show a good chin. Devin Haney showed a good chin. He showed a good chin, in my opinion. Also, like now everybody wants to match him up. Say he's going to get knocked out by Tank, Teofimo Lopez. Totally different fights. You know what I mean? Those are totally different fights. And I am sure, without a doubt, that Devin Haney will not stay in the pocket with Teofimo Lopez or a Gervonta Tank Davis. He is not going to stay in the pocket with these guys. So this was a different level. This was just where he wanted to show a different look. And you got to show those different looks against the right type of styles. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? That's why I talk about with MMA. So boxing fans, they got to learn how to, be straight down the middle and look at these guys' skill sets. Don't let the feelings get it. Don't let the feelings get in their way. Devin Haney, he's out here boxing. He's, showing a skill set at 22 years old. You got to give him credit. Got to give the guy credit. As far as what's next for Devin Haney, I would really like to see Devin Haney. This is just like little constructive criticism. Like I'm saying, I like what he's doing, but I would like to see him, which I'm sure he will throughout the years. I like to see him become more of an accurate puncher, like accurate assassin, where he picks his shots more, where he's shooting shots straight up the middle. And, he's like breaking through the guard with sharp jabs, and he's, starting to adapt to different fighters, and he's going around the guard more so, and getting his punch selection a little bit better, kind of like Terrence Crawford. How Terrence Crawford, very accurate, precise hitter. That's what makes him special. He can just punch through the guard. He's accurate to the body. Even Pretty Boy Floyd, when he was early days, always, like a meat cleaver with the right hand, and when he come around the side, straight jabs down to the bread basket. Everything was accurate because he was taking his time to pick his shots more. I mean, I like the work rate that Devin Haney is coming with right now, but I like to see him start to, stick him, start sticking him and stabbing people more with these shots. And, those type of punches will break a guy down more so than, 3 or 4 flurries that don't really land hard. So that's something that'll come. Start turning his punches over a little bit more and becoming more accurate with the singles or the 1-2s and the 1-2-3s. Next up, though, I'd like to see him defend his belt a few more times, take on a few more guys where he can work on that, work on his body punching against some, similar guys with the physiques of, Teofimo and Tank Davis, whoever he decides to take on next. So yeah, I like to see him kind of work towards, that Teofimo Lopez fight, build it up a little bit more. If he wasn't taking a fight next, I think Devin Haney could still win. I think he could still win because he's shown his level with boxing. I think that if he did take it now, a lot of people would be feeling like Devin Haney's the underdog, and they would have right to. They'd have right to because Teofimo does have that power. He's a good boxer as well, and you never know what could happen. But I still feel like Devin Haney has enough skill and IQ to be able to make it an interesting fight, and even probably, be able to take Teofimo Lopez 12 rounds and outwork him. He does have that ability. He is a strong kid. We got to give him that. So yeah, man, shout out to Devin Haney. Like I said, can't listen to the haters, man. You got to do you. You just got to do you, man. I mean, that's the only way you're going to make it. If you continue to listen to people just because they want you to do what they want you to do for that moment, you won't get anywhere. You really won't get anywhere. If you continue to do what other people want, you won't get what you want out of life. So, hey, just continue to do you, Devin. So yeah, man, moving on. Big fight coming up. It's going down August 21st. Errol Spence Jr., the unified welterweight champion, is taking on Manny Pacquiao August 21st. And now, like I said, man, this just came out of nowhere because, as y'all know, Manny Pacquiao, he really just gone left field, vacating his belt, trying to get the fight with these guys like Conor McGregor, Ryan Garcia. Then he went off to try to get a fight with Mikey Garcia. Terrence Crawford, that was in talks. That fight was supposed to have been announced maybe can't even remember now, like a month or two ago. Errol Spence was trying to get his fight with Ugas. He was waiting for Fox to put out the schedule, for July because he wanted to fight Ugas in July, right? But something bigger came along. And yeah, I first saw it on PBC's page. I think I saw it on Errol Spence's Instagram. Or was it PBC? I just saw it, like a few weeks ago. Boom! It was just it just popped up. It wasn't fan art or anything. It was their actual poster. Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence Jr. I was like, damn, what happened? I was like, where did this come from? But yeah, my first reaction was, okay, I like this. I like this fight. This is what we've been looking for. We've been looking for, a solid opponent for one of the top fighters pound for pound, Errol Spence Jr. He wants to take on a legend of Manny Pacquiao. This is a fight he said he's been wanting for like 2-3 years now, and he's got it. That was my first reaction. I was just glad to see that, somebody had signed on for a fight. I got tired of hearing boxing media saying, this is happening, this might be happening, so-and-so said this. I just want a signed fight. Like when we get the UFC notifications, you already see the poster. They already got their graphics made up. This person's fighting that person. It's a go, So finally we get something like that with boxing. So yeah, my thoughts on the fight though, as far as like the significance. Of course, this ain't Spence Crawford. It's not Spence Crawford. I mean, that's the biggest fight we all wanted to see in the welterweight division, but I think the significance is still high. I think it's still high because you can see what fans are saying. They're still feeling like Manny Pacquiao is going to outwork and beat or maybe even stop Errol Spence Jr. So this fight does hold some weight. Errol Spence Jr. really needs more and more fights just to really build up his legacy to kind of shut all these naysayers up. You know what I mean? Like he continues to, like people say, pick up, he continues to carry the heavier load in the welterweight division compared to Terrence Crawford, but he still continues to get put down. You know, people are still talking about his resume, you know. So as long as he continues to get these type of fights, you know, it'll continue to just build him up and, you know, put people in their place and say, well, I guess he is as good as we say he is. I mean, look at his resume. We got to look at his resume. I know Manny Pacquiao was what, 42, 43, right? But it's still a big name because people are favoring. They're looking at Errol as the underdog. So if they're saying this now, Errol Spence beats him, he stops him, and it's still high, even though Manny Pacquiao doesn't have a belt right now, which I'll talk about here in a minute. I feel like it's very high for Errol because this is something he wanted. You know, this is the, you know, of course, it's going to be the best name on his resume, but it's also, you know, another veteran. You know, this is another veteran, a veteran that can really push him to the top, you know, not just, you know, boxing wise, but superstardom wise, you know, superstardom and money. It's going to really build his name up. Manny Pacquiao, you know, has fought for what, 4 decades. You know, he's fought 4 decades of champions, 4 decades of fighters. So this is a big test for Errol Spence. You know, he's in there with a guy who fought Floyd, who fought Ricky Hatton, who fought De La Hoya, who fought Marquez 4 times, Eric Morales, Marco Antonio Barrera, you know, all of these guys. So he's got that legend in front of him. So this is that fight that's really going to break that ice for Errol Spence Jr. In a way, this is kind of like his De La Hoya and he's Mayweather. In a way, you know. So I think the significance is high. You know, it's going to build him up superstardom wise. It's going to build up his resume, his legacy. And again, like I said, it'll push him up the pound for pound ladder. Because, like I said, everybody's still saying Manny Pacquiao's got enough to beat him or stop him. So they're actually building his stock up more. So whenever if Errol's able to beat him, then we will have to give him his credit. It's just due. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, even as part of his significance, you know, the WBA, of course, y'all know that Manny Pacquiao was WBA champion. He beat Keith Thurman 2 years ago. Was that July 2019? Damn, that's a while ago now. I can't believe it's been that long. But yeah, Keith Thurman lost his belt to Manny Pacquiao back in July 2019. And Manny Pacquiao had been sitting on the belt for that long, for 2 years without defending it. And the WBA, they took the belt from him. You know, he had to vacate the belt. He was stripped or whatever. And I think he was crowned emeritus champion. That's kind of like whenever you're out for a while, you know, you can come back and either fight for your position or they'll give it back to you. But anyways, he was stripped of the belt. Dennis Ugas was given the belt, you know, due to his inactivity. So your Dennis Ugas looked like he was going to be in line for Errol Spence Jr., right? But that fight's not happening now. So it seems like the WBA, they're looking to reinstate Manny Pacquiao. So my question to y'all is like, what do y'all think? Y'all think that's fair? Do y'all think that's fair that the WBA is going to reinstate Manny Pacquiao for this fight? I mean, in my opinion, that's cool with me. I mean, it's not really like Dennis. Shout out to Dennis Ugas. I do like Dennis Ugas as a fighter, but it's not like he had earned the belt. You know what I mean? It's just like they were just giving it to the next fighter. They were going to promote the next fighter if he stepped out of the rankings, you know. But if that fighter does come back, they do get that belt back because they were the one that won it. It's different if Ugas had won the belt, but then they just said, "Oh, let's give it to Manny Pacquiao for this fight." You know, that would have been different, of course. But I feel like if they feel like there's something high right here, you know, that they can really, really push, you know, high significance of a fight, then, you know, they probably will give it back to Manny Pacquiao. And I think this will definitely make this fight even bigger because then that'll give Errol Spence that third piece that he's been wanting, you know, that third piece of the puzzle, which is the WBA belt. Because right now, you know, he holds the WBC, the IBF, and if Pacquiao gets his WBA back and he wins, then he'll have that third piece. And then the fourth piece will be none other than Bud Crawford, right? So sounds good, right? But I'm not sure if they're going to do that yet. Like I said, that is something that the WBA has been looking at. But, you know, I'll definitely keep y'all posted if he does, if the WBA does, and he does get his belt back. But next thing I want to talk about with Manny real quick is one of the things that, you know, a lot of people have been saying, and Manny Pacquiao has been saying, the reason that he's taking this fight, you know, it's not just because it's a big risk. And, you know, Manny likes to take big risks, because if that was the case, you know, at this point, Pacquiao versus Crawford would have happened, right? That fight would have happened. That would have been signed first because that's the fight they were negotiating first, right? But one of the things I think, one of the reasons why this fight is probably happening is because Manny Pacquiao feels Errol Spence Jr. is too slow and he's lost a step after the car accident, which to me, that can be bad thinking. If he's thinking that Errol Spence is just going to be a sitting duck in there, that's bad thinking. If he thinks that his speed is going to be the key to beating Errol Spence, I mean, he's got another thing coming. It takes more than speed to beat a guy like Errol Spence Jr. And let's see, let me make sure I got Manny Pacquiao's age right. I'm in the right ballpark. I keep saying 43, right? 43. At 43, I'm not really thinking that he's 42. He'll be 43 in December. At 42 years old, I'm not thinking that. I'm thinking that his speed is not going to hold up, for 12 rounds against a big, strong welterweight like Errol Spence Jr. You know what I mean? So he can't just say it's all about speed. He's just going to use his speed to beat a bigger, stronger guy. He acknowledged the fact that Errol Spence Jr. is bigger and stronger than him, and he's just going to use his speed. But a guy that's big and strong and has technique and has good timing, which he'll have to really make sure he develops over the next few months, I think a guy like that, would be able to nullify the speed right away. Because right away, when I think of one way this fight could go is if you're familiar with Winky Wright versus Shane Mosley. They fought 2 times. And one of the things about Winky Wright, he's a big, strong guy. He's a big, strong junior middleweight. Shane Mosley, he's a powerful middleweight, junior middleweight. He was moving up from 135 and 147 up to 154. And Shane Mosley, he came in there with the speed and that power boxing style of his, and there was no way he could go in and out on Winky Wright, because Winky Wright, you know what he did? He just continued to put that pressure, and he was just cutting the boxing ring off and continue to just pop that simple jab out, jab after jab after jab. He just stayed consistent with the jab, and he was really just muscling and pushing Shane Mosley back. So that could be a possibility in this fight, where Errol Spence Jr. could just walk down Manny Pacquiao at a point. If he just keeps good distance out of the way of Manny Pacquiao's barrage. If he can take away Manny Pacquiao's in and out by just staying one step back, and he's able to extend his full punches, Manny Pacquiao could be in for a long night. Because there came a point in the Pacquiao Thurman fight where there came a point where he really started landing good right hands on Manny Pacquiao. He was in the pocket landing big shots. I mean, they both were trading, but towards that second half of the fight, I felt like Keith Thurman, he was really landing some good punches on Manny Pacquiao. When Manny Pacquiao started to slow down a little bit, he started becoming a sitting target for Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman never stopped fighting in that fight, And I think a guy like Errol Spence Jr., he has a little bit, I think he has a lot more strength and a bit more resilience than a guy like Keith Thurman. I think Errol Spence Jr. has a better defense. Hands are up. He's going to block a lot of those shots. And he has a good straight left hand. He has a good straight left hand down the pipe and good distance management. So I think it's going to take more than speed for Manny Pacquiao to just say, I'm just going to go in there and use this. I'm going to be in and out. This ain't Chris Algieri. This ain't Brandon Rios. This ain't Adrian Broner. Errol Spence Jr. is going to be hitting back. And if it goes into the pocket, Errol is going to be the stronger guy, and he's going to tie him up. I felt like Errol was a stronger guy in the Sean Porter fight. Sean Porter was a faster guy, but how did Sean Porter beat? How did Errol Spence beat Sean Porter? He was able to actually dog him out. He dogged him back. Landed good shots in the pocket. So taking away Manny Pacquiao's legs is going to be on Errol Spence's mind. Especially when you say you're all about the speed and just being in and out. You take away that in and out. You take away the legs. You're going to be a sitting duck. But Manny Pacquiao's that one thing, he has that it's just like, he has the same thing that Floyd has in a way. Like, he doesn't just box anymore. He is boxing. There comes a point when these guys, they just are boxing, where they can just come in the ring and it's second nature. It's second nature. So that's one of the keys that could possibly take Manny Pacquiao to victory here, So it's going to be an interesting fight, y'all. like I said, I'll talk about it more and more. I'm definitely gonna do a keys to victory and a breakdown for this fight. You know, gonna do a separate video for that as we get closer to it. But yeah, I do like the matchup. I can see this fight playing out similar to like a Winky Wright versus Shane Mosley, where the bigger, stronger guy just walks him down, puts the jabs and straight shots in his face, and just tries to really impose his size on him. I can see it going that way, but I could see Manny, doing what he does as well too. I could see him landing good straight left hands and using that speed, but it's just all in question. Like, how long are you going to be able to keep that up as a 42-year-old man? But let me know in the comment section, guys, what y'all think. How y'all think this fight's gonna go? I'm looking forward to it. And if that WBA belt is reinstated to Manny Pacquiao, I think that's gonna be even more interesting because it's important that we get an undisputed champion at welterweight. But yeah, man. Moving on here. Like I said, I kind of wanted to revisit this topic with y'all just on the show here, and speak on Marina Rodriguez once again. I want to talk about Marina not taking her fight with Mackenzie Dern that was offered to her in July. I mean, as y'all know, Marina Rodriguez is coming off of 2 fights she took on short notice, which I had to tell people several times. 2 short notice fights, one in January against Ebos, who she knocked out. Less than 4 months later, she comes back against Michelle Waterson. Very tough, competitive fight. 5-round decision, she won. And now the UFC wants her to come back in less than 2 months in July against an even tougher opponent. A tougher opponent that's really been improving and building herself up in Mackenzie Dern. And Marina Rodriguez, she turned down the offer. She said, look, no, we want to wait. My coach says we want to return in September, October. We got to work. We got to improve to the best version of ourselves. So like I told y'all, I definitely understand that. I definitely understand why a fighter wants a full training camp, even when it's just asking for 2 months. I mean, when did we as like combat sports fans get so spoiled and just feel like 2 months was like something to cry about, or really just like bash somebody about, or say they're a coward, or say they're stupid, or say they're scared? Like, when did we get that far ahead like that? I mean, I think UFC's been really spoiling us too much now. Like, first we talk about boxing not giving us fights. Boxers, they take years sometimes to fight, to come back a year. They fight twice a year. Here we got the UFC. We got UFC fighters coming back, and fighting like 3 or 4 times a year. And now we're complaining when they want to take just a couple of months off to recover, rest, and improve themselves. See, we're thinking of these fighters too much as like racehorses now. Like, well, I'm not, or like they're fight dogs or something. We just want to see them go in there and then get punishment inflicted on themselves, get beat down, and then go right back into the next one. That's how I kind of feel like a lot of fans are approaching this now. Like, the minute they want to take a break or they want to prepare for the toughest test that they've had in a while, fans get mad. The craziest stuff we've been hearing is like Joanna saying I can come back after a year off and just get a title shot, saying Carla doesn't deserve it. That stuff I can just completely disagree with. But when somebody like Marina says, let me get a few months to recover and become a better version of myself, that's fine with me. That's fine with me because I'm not you. You know what I mean? So what's 2 more months away? I'm not the one fighting. I'm not the one that got to bust my ass and make weight. So I can wait. There's other fighters fighting. Mackenzie Dern, she comes back in July, she'll be fighting somebody else. And then I think it's crazy whenever people just say, okay, like, oh, she didn't want to take this fight because she'll get her behind whooped when it goes to the ground. Well, that's the purpose of taking your time out and making sure that you're prepared. And nobody's saying that you're going to try to become a jiu-jitsu black belt overnight. You just want to make sure your game is tight on how you can nullify that fighter. You know what I mean? We talk about how Joanna can nullify Jessica Andrade style, right? Well, let Marina Rodriguez take her time and polish herself up so she can nullify whatever it is Dern tries. You know, you got to take every little bit of time you have. I mean, 2 short notice fights, that's cool. Okay, she did that for the money. She did that for the legacy. She did that for the reputation. She's known as a tough fighter. That's what people want to see. But the minute you try to take a break and say, "Let me sit back," whoa, when the tough competition comes, everybody's calling her a coward. No, that's a smart move. It's a smart business move. And I say it's a smart business move on my part because it's like I've been there before where there's opportunity, but there might be some things I don't like about it because you're trying to put me into something I'm not prepared for, you know? And some people say, oh, you should have taken that. No, I'm not taking that. Why am I going to bow down? Just, take their ultimatum, say, oh, you better take this or you won't get it. Shoot, I took the right amount of time that I needed to jump into this position, and I still get it. I still get it. I still got it. So I think that's just how I think a lot of people are programmed now. They're always programmed to feel like, oh yeah, the boss is gonna come down on if you don't take it. But I keep the same energy. I try to keep that same energy all the time, whatever it is. Like if it doesn't feel right to me, I'm not taking it. You know what I mean? I don't care if I get on your bad side or what. As long as I'm on my good side, that's all I care about. People will say, oh, you got to take that opportunity while it's here. It'll come back. If I don't feel like it's the right time and I don't feel like they're treating me right and they're treating me like I'm a dog and just trying to put me back in there just to satisfy them. No, I'm the fighter. I'd be like, I'm the fighter. Look, I keep this company alive. I'm part of that. I help keep the lights on. So you got to treat me with respect. And I think if more fighters thought like that, instead of just bowing down and bending over and taking it, then there would be some kind of middle ground there. Because like I said, I've done it many a time. I say, look, nope, I'm not taking it. I don't like that offer. I don't like it. And it works out for me. So hopefully it works out for her. I mean, if more people stood like that, I think that it would work. And that's the main thing I want to talk about as far as going in depth with. I talked about it technically. I talked about it. You can look at those videos I've done, but I just want to come on here. Like I said, the main theme of this show is you got to look out for you. And that's a message to the fighters. You got to look out for you. The fans, they only want to see you. And they only want to see you and they get hurt the majority of the times. They cheer when you bust it up and cut, but they're not there for you whenever you're in a wheelchair. They're not there for you when your career ends off of a, badly torn ACL and you can't get back in there. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it for you. Like I said, when you liken it to real life, same thing. I'm not going to listen to other people. I'm not going to listen to other people when it comes down to, making my moves in life. So that's how I feel about that. But yeah, I can talk about the fight, a little bit too as well. Like it's not a fight where, like I said, Mackenzie Dern, it's not a fight where you just go in. She's not a slouch anymore. She's not a slouch. And I've talked about this on my channel. Like I love the growth that I'm seeing in Mackenzie Dern. That's why whenever Marina Rodriguez said, look, I'm not taking this in July, I said, props to you, because Mackenzie Dern is not a slouch now. She's slowly growing. She's not title contender yet. She's not title contender material, but the growth that she's showing and the momentum and the hunger. I just did a live stream where we talked about this. I like what she's doing. She's improving. And they both right now are in that same part of the rankings, 5 and 6. Marina Rodriguez has some good things about her, but she can be shut down just like that because we know what her weakness is. Marina Rodriguez, Mackenzie Dern, same thing with her. Like Mackenzie Dern, when she gets you to the ground, it's pretty much a wrap, whoever you are. But she still has some things that needs to be worked on. She still has some style nightmares out there for her, like a Joanna, possibly a Marina Rodriguez. If a striker really gets going on her, and they have great takedown defense, then, she's pretty much nullified. So right now, it's a fight where Mackenzie Dern, she's in that mid part. Like I said, she's right there in that middle position where she can still do a lot of damage. And you don't want to be that opponent right now if you're not prepared, So I respect that. Again, I respect that. I'll say that for any fighter, that's trying to grow. That's trying to grow. And it's not all about the business sometimes. You got to think of your well-being first. Well-being comes first. Like if your body's not ready, don't jump right into it. If the UFC says we ain't gonna call you again, fine. That just shows you they don't care about you. Don't let them pimp you. That's my thing. Don't let them pimp you. So yeah, I also just did a video too. I need to drop this video I did. Norma Dumont. I don't know if y'all been really keeping up with Norma Dumont. Want to speak on that. I will drop the video a little later, but video will probably be up before the show. I'll probably do the video because it's already done, just needs to be uploaded. But one of the things I was just kind of looking at with Norma Dumont is something we've been talking about, with this featherweight division. Well, what we want to call the featherweight division. Norma Dumont, like I said, she kind of feels like it seems like she's kind of feel like she's a little bit under pressure because, the UFC wants her to stay in the division to keep it alive. She wanted to move back down to 135 and to fight some possible contenders. She wanted to move back down to 135, but they asked her to stay at 145 in order to keep this division alive. So she said, yeah, because it's good for her weight as well. It's good for her, and it's a weight she can make, and she can grow. But I don't know how easy she can grow because even like she said herself, in this interview, she said, I would like to have a few more fights before I face Amanda Nunes, but I believe I'll probably fight Amanda with 2 more wins at 145. I won't have the time I wanted to mature, so we'll have to speed up the process and evolve. So right now, it looks like the UFC is really trying to put a lot of weight on her and next to Felicia Spencer. They're really trying to keep her here just to get another contender for Amanda Nunes. And like she said, she'll probably have to fight 2 more fights and then rush right into a championship fight, which is something she doesn't want to do. And that's another thing. Like, I respect that. That's another thing I respect. She's thinking of her because, just because you're in the UFC doesn't mean you go straight to the title. That's why there's a ranking system. That's why there should be a structured ranking system in the featherweight division, right? Come on, Dana. When you look at the flyweights, we can pretty much separate who deserves a title shot and who doesn't. The strawweight division, we can pretty much decide who needs a title shot, who's still growing. I mean, when you look at the featherweight division, it's crazy. It's everywhere. It's like Zara dos Santos. She's in this division like almost right next to Megan Anderson, but there's like levels difference between these fighters. Megan Anderson's next to Amanda Nunes, and you've seen what happened. So there has to be fighters where they can grow. What was the purpose of bringing on Aaliyah Letson? What's the purpose of not signing a Chelsea Chandler, not signing a Pam Bam Sorensen? What are y'all waiting for? You got this barren division and these girls looking for fighters. And then you got some of your better featherweights killing themselves to make 135. The UFC is really working backwards right now because the Tough House, 3 or 4 years ago, you had the Tough House with the featherweights in there, right? You had a good half of a structured ranking system, right? Ranked division right there. You had a good structured division, right? Half of the division right there is what I'm saying. You could have put them in there and then brought in some other girls. Boom, you would have had a division, and then you had the Tough Winner. She could have been a good representation of the featherweight division. The Tough Winner was a featherweight. She was really a featherweight. Like, she's Macy Chiasson. She's killing herself to make bantamweight right now, but she's not really saying anything. But she's saying she can fight, 135, 145. But yeah, she can fight at both weights, but she's not looking good at 135 like she is at 145. See, when I saw her Tough House, she was looking good. I was like, okay, this girl right here, when she develops, she's gonna be bad. She's gonna be knocking girls out. She's gonna be taking them down. She's gonna just be dominating as a featherweight. And then boom, what do they do? Make Macy move down to 135. She loses to Lena Landsberg. Hasn't really looked like the same sharp fighter in a minute, So why are they working backwards here? Why are you having one girl or 2 girls, Norma and Felicia, have all this weight on them and say, I gotta, hold down this division or they'll close it? When you had 8 other girls here that could have, already grown and polished themselves up and been part of a division. Julia Stoyarenko got this girl fainting on the scales when she should be at 135. Got all these other girls again, like I said, Pam M. Sorensen sitting on the sideline, never signing Caitlin Young, bringing these girls in, never signing them, so there should be no need for this pressure right now on these fighters, that feel like I have to ask for certain contenders to fight. Because, even in this interview, Norma Dumont, she said, look, I would like to fight popular fighters like Miesha Tate, Sarah McMahon, Rocky Pennington, GDR, or Holly Holm. Well, most of those girls, all of those girls are fighting 135 right now. I mean, GDR, she could definitely be 145. Sarah McMahon, she could be 145 too as well. Misha Tate, she could as well. So why not go ahead and let these girls move up and make the division? Have them go ahead and stay at 145 to have her fight these girls. And then she actually does mention, look, but I think the UFC might bring bigger athletes like Julia Stoyarenko, who fainted at the weigh-ins and had a hard time cutting weight. See what I'm talking about? So Julia Stoyarenko, right there. Why y'all got this girl teetering around? I think didn't she fight at 125 at 1.2? So yeah, they're really making some bad choices here. Really making some bad choices. That's why I'm saying, like, Norma Dumont, I'm glad that she did kind of come to terms and say, look, I will take this opportunity and say, look, 145 is for me. We can't do 135, even if there are good contenders there, because that's going to kill my body. So even for her, she got to do what's right for her. You got to do what's right for you. Norma Dumont, she feels like 145 is it. Hey, stay. Don't squeeze down. Macy Chiasson, she's squeezing down. I don't know how she's doing it. I mean, Macy came in against Marina Rodriguez looking huge. So, that's a fighter right there that needs to be in that featherweight division, or making that argument that, look, I need to be in this featherweight division. So yeah, man, it's looking crazy, man. Like 145 is, I don't know what it is, right now. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Right whenever you think they're about to shut the door on it, they open it back up to just kind of let it suffer. Like, if that makes sense. Like, it seems like it's about to die, and you think they're gonna revive it, but no, they just like pump just a little bit more life into it so it can continue to suffer. That's what it's like. They it's like they like watching it suffer and not grow. I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. Why are they doing that with this division whenever the answer's right there in front of their faces? I don't know, man. But yeah, man. Let's see. Final thoughts on this episode. It's like I said, man. All in all, like I said, for fighters coming into the game or whatever it is you're trying to do, man, you just got to look out for you. You got to look out for number one. I'm not saying being selfish. I'm saying you got to be selfish, but you got to think of you. I mean, when it comes down to it, only you better than anybody else. So whether it's your body, you saying, look, I can't do this, I need more time, listen to you. Listen to you. Actually, listen to the people that are looking out for you. That's what it all comes down to. That's how I feel. Whatever the situation, if you don't feel right, you feel like it's being rushed, and you feel like something better will come along. Hey, just wait. Just wait, because usually sometimes waiting, the reward is a little bit sweeter, they say, right? Actually, the prelims start at like 4 p.m. Yeah, damn. 4 p.m. on Saturday. Manon Firo is taking on Tabitha Ricci. I already dropped my prediction for that. Told y'all I think that Manon Firo, she's going to win by stoppage. She just got the size advantage, and I think just the skill advantage as well, speed and power. I know that Tabitha Ricci does have that ground game, which if she does take it to the ground, it will get interesting. She is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so that will come into play if she can get it to the ground. If she can get in on the fighter that is 6 inches taller, has a 4-inch reach advantage and does have power. You got to be able to get on that inside. So that's a possibility, but I'm going to go with Manon Firo in this one, man. I think she just has too many tools and just, too big and too strong. Ariane Lipsky and Montana De La Rosa. Only thing I can predict in that fight is that there'll be blood in the first round. I'm usually never wrong with that in a MDLR fight. So yeah, that's all I can predict with that one. I think it's close, but if you had to ask me, I'm going to go with Montana. I think Montana is going to win. I'm not really thinking she's going to look like stellar or anything like where she's going to go in there and look like a ranked top 15 fighter. But I think that Montana De La Rosa will find Ariane Lipsky slipping, and I think she probably will get a submission win in this one. Yeah, so that's my pick on that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this episode. Like always, like I said at the beginning, just make sure y'all subscribe. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, hashtag CB99 Talks. And subscribe to my YouTube channel, Combo Breaker 99. And yeah, be back with another episode, man, because, a lot going on in the combat sports world. I got some topics on BKFC coming up. What else? Of course, more Invicta cards are coming June 11th. Yeah, June 11th is the Phoenix Rising tournament for the atomweight division. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, so we got to talk about that. You know, of course, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, their third fight. Still want to talk more in that fight as it goes, as we get closer to it. You know, but yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got, guys. Like I said, you know, thanks to my day ones, you know, and my new followers, you know, keep coming through, and I'll keep doing these shows, man. But like always, I'm Combo Breaker 99. I am out. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.